Oh my gosh, habit 10. Wow. Looking back just at how far you've made it with your book club and what's happened, and many of you might find that like you're just so ready for this to be over, and others might feel like, oh my gosh, you just want to keep going, or it's just beginning, and it should all be in there, and that's totally normal. I just want to congratulate you and thank you for being on this journey with me and really trusting into whoever is your book club leader, and for the book club leaders, just to say thank you. I'm really humbled and honored that you decided to gather your posse of peeps to do this, and it just means a lot to me, and I want you to know that. And it's been amazing to see how this global movement is growing just through this ancient grandmother's wisdom, these really simple kitchen wisdom traditions, the folk medicine that many of us did not grow up with, that we're starting to bring it back, and that it has an impact on how we feel, how our household runs for those of us who have children, how we're raising our children, what habits they have. We do find these habits really start to live through us and through our extended family groups and communities and friends, and it's powerful. It really is. So if you look back, if we see we've had early or later dinner, early to bed, start the day right, breath body practices, plant-based diet, healthier eating guidelines, meditation, massage, sense organ self-care, and not in that order, but close to it. Now we're entering this final frontier of easeful living. And truth be told, when I first taught this as a course, as a habits course, I taught it in 9 habits. I omitted easeful living. And it wasn't apparent later to me that I had made a mistake, that there was an omission, and I needed to bring it back in. And it was actually kind of awkward for me at the time as a yoga teacher who is grounded in some very deep wisdom traditions and philosophy, to really notice that when we have practices without easeful living, they can become hard. They can become rigid. It can become about doing them right. It can become about checking things off the list. And we can lose out on what's happening behind the scenes. When I separated easeful living into its own habit, I started to see a whole other level of growth in the people who went through the program, many of which are yoga teachers and holistic wellness experts, many of which are very accomplished yoga students or people that are already pretty dialed in on a number of levels. And what easeful living does, this idea of looking at our relationship to our life, are we living in a stressful perspective, or are we in an easeful perspective? No matter what's going on, no matter what is hitting the fan, right? That's what this habit is all about. It's starting to look at what you've been doing the last 9 weeks, how you've been making some of you major changes and some of you some subtle shifts. And how is this making more space for you to just simply be in presence and be seated in a place of depth, seated in a place maybe of big heart or big mind, so that as you navigate your daily life, you're not in a reaction against what's arising. Because when we're in reaction, we'll often feel overwhelmed. Someone will ask us how we're doing, and it's like, we just got so much, and we kind of go into that contraction. And what easeful living does is it teaches us that it's a habit. It's a muscle that we're building to be in a life positive experience, to be a life positive expression, to situate our awareness in the field of openness and inner connectivity. And to be this, as a practice, as we live our sometimes overwhelming, sometimes overscheduled, sometimes really busy, intense, sometimes really sweet and interconnected and easeful lives. So at this point with your Body Thrive group, you might find that you want to reflect on what's changed and what's happened. You might want to just go forward and really explore this habit and have a closure meeting at the end where you look at what's happened over the last 10 weeks. Either is absolutely fine and up to you as a group. I do recommend having this week to deeply explore easeful living. I wouldn't want you to shortcut this habit. I would start this book group by just talking about what is your perspective. As you read through this chapter, do you notice that you are more in a stressful relationship with your own life and that that's a choice? And so now you have a choice point every time you engage with the experience of being stressed out. And what habit can be inserted there? Is it just a deep breath? Is it a minute of staring out a window and just letting your eyes rest on the farthest point that you can see? Is it just sitting for a moment and allowing everything to be as it is? Like what is it that shifts you, that shifts your perspective into the field of abundance, the field of deep energy, the ground of being, the experience of interconnectivity? And how can you build that habit so that you start to live more and more of your life from there? So I personally think that deserves a whole meeting with your book club, and that you save your last book club just for closure, your last meeting for closure and reflection, and you can even make it fun and give awards to each other for like, hey, you did a great job meeting your resistance, or hey, you did a great job creating a keystone habit, or whatever it is. But to add another meeting at the end that enables you to reflect on what shifted, reflect even if what shifted is your awareness and a desire to have these habits on another level, or if you've made some real, honest, earnest change. I know for many people this is indeed a life-changing experience. You just start to discover a deeper energy, a deeper integrity, a deeper alignment in yourself. Your body gets dialed. We've had people lose over 30 pounds in a 10-week period going through this. We've had people lose joint pain in 3 weeks that are in their 60s. I mean, it's very powerful. So if you've had big breakthroughs, it's important to share those. It's also important to share the ones that might be more subtle but are no less significant, which are shifts in your household, shifts with your children, shifts in your relationship. Many people start to find their deeper purpose. Many people leave a job that doesn't work for them, or leave a relationship that's just outdated. And it's important to, be in a group presence and to presence the shift. It can help us really stand into the power of what's changed and to give that power even more momentum going forward. However you decide to bring closure to your process, I just want to again thank everyone that has been in here with me and with us around the planet, just stepping into healthier, more enlightened, more interconnected habits together.